Well, check this out. Got my brand new Spektrum DXE today. I'm never, ever the kind of guy that ever wants to fly Spektrum for various reasons. A few years ago, we had some problems out at our field where, we lost about $5,000 in total airplanes in a single month due to Wi Fi interference from a local business with Spektrum products, and it was just Spektrum products. All the other radios seemed to be holding up quite well. But, they had some pretty cool little bind and fly UMX airplanes I wanted to kind of get into just to goof off with. And it required that I had to, pretty much have a Spektrum radio to do this. Now, I fly the FR Sky stuff, Tyrannus, the X10S, things like that. And they're a pretty high quality system. And, the several people that's moved into the FR Sky or the Fataba at our field have never experienced any radio interference or hijacking issues at our field since moving to that. But the couple of stragglers that seem to be hanging on to Spektrum are still having issues. As a matter of fact, we had one guy yesterday. His was completely hijacked at a close range. Plane went to full throttle and berserk and crashed due to radio interference out there. We're close to a military base. We've got cell phone towers around us, and we've got some guy that owns a business running two high-powered 2.4 gigahertz internet systems for his business. And that seems to be the culprit out there that's causing this. But the issue is Spektrum is using a pretty crappy technology, believe it or not. And I know there's some hardcore guys out there that's probably going to post some things on this video, and they're going to be like, oh, it's because you're mounting the receiver incorrectly, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. No. They're just garbage. The way Spektrum's designed, the old DSM2 stuff, what Spektrum would do when you turned on the radio is it would pick two channels. And if it had a problem on one of those channels, it would hop to the second channel, like if it got interference on that channel or whatever. The issue is they were experiencing some interference problems with it, and that's why Spektrum upgraded to the new DSMX here a few years back, which picks four channels. Whoop-de-doo. So they only decreased the problem with interference by 50%. We're still having issues with DSMX as well. It doesn't happen all the time, but if your field happens to have a precarious situation concerning radio signals out there, this is the first that's going to go down. I guarantee it. We've had Spektrum analysis run at our field. We've had radio tests done. And every single time, it was extremely easy to get Spektrum to fail, while Fataba and FR Sky held up. I know that Fataba is extremely expensive, but FR Sky is extremely cheap. So I get this radio today just to fly some things. And it comes in the mail today, and of course I upgraded the battery in it because I don't like putting AA batteries in anything. They don't last long. So I put the lithium ion one in there and get this radio out of the box, and the first thing I noticed is this thing is cheap. This thing reminds me of the type of radios that you get at Walmart with those like ready to fly $29 drones. This thing is garbage. And it was like $200 for the radio. So with the radio, the battery, and the wall charger for the lithium ion battery, man, I'm like $250 into this little garbage box. But nonetheless, I'm going to use it for my little UMX planes, whatever. The only reason I didn't go with the orange module in the back of my Tyrannus is because Hobby King's been having some issues with the firmware in those concerning the UMX boards, to where they're having an issue with the throttle circuit. People are binding the planes, control surfaces are working, but the throttle's not working. And I did have that issue because I did do that. But I went ahead and purchased this radio. I bit the bullet, and I'm extremely shocked at the quality. The gimbals are extremely cheap. They're like the old DX4s. Remember those old? Yeah. The switches are cheap and flimsy. It's just a cheap plastic radio. That's all it is. Whatever, though. We're going to fly with it. Of course, Horizon stands behind their stuff, so they say. They never stood behind anything I had problems with, but whatever. But I do know, too, and this is kind of funny, something I picked up on is when I got the wall charger, which came in this box that says Spektrum. It's a genuine Spektrum component. Came with all these in there, too. I guess that's for whatever country you fly in. So It means it's just a generic wall charger with a set of plugs, depending on what kind of outlet you have in your wall, be able to plug this thing in. But something to note is Spektrum has always preached, never accept the cheap Chinese knockoffs. You know, because you could crash your airplanes or whatever. Well, look where this charger's made at. China. Isn't that something? Oh, and it's important to note too that the radio came in this box from Horizon, China. Isn't that something? Bunch of hypocrites. Anyway, I just wanted to post that on there because if you're thinking about buying this $200 radio, I wouldn't do it. I would look into FR Sky or something else. My FR Sky radio, the Tyrannus that I was flying with, you can get that for about $179. It's a 16 channel, and right away you're going to notice the quality compared to anything that Spektrum has is much greater. Its radio signal is more powerful. That's a type of radio system too that hops multiple channels per second, not just when it has a problem. It's hopping it per second, so if there is interference in the air, it's less likely to be hit by it because it's already hopped to another channel before you know it. But I just wanted to show you this because this is pretty pathetic, Horizon. You're way behind the curve here. And what's with this SD slot? Look at the size of that thing. My God, I had to use the adapter because it don't take a micro, which is, you know, only been around about 10 years now. You got me having to use some sort of an adapter now to plug it in like an 8-track tape. But whatever, we're going to fly it with the little UMX planes and just see how it goes. But keep that in mind when you're buying a radio. You know, don't settle for good marketing, settle for good radio. Good day.